So your cat just got diagnosed with something chronic, maybe kidney disease, IBD, diabetes, early stage cancer, or maybe urinary tract issues. And your vet handed you a prescription, maybe a sympathy look, and a printed sheet of instructions that read like a hospital menu. So something inside you maybe whispered, this can't be it. And if that's the case, you are right. The diagnosis is not the end of the story. And what happens next is entirely up to you. I am Dr. Paola Zanibelli Davies, the holistic cat specialist, and I work with cat parents who are done being passive. They want results and not just some relief. They are willing to do some work to achieve their goals. So this video is designed for you, the cat parent who knows that there is more to care than compliance. And if you are here, you don't just want your cat to survive, you want them to thrive, and you want to understand what it actually takes to make that happen. So if your first instinct after hearing the diagnosis was there must be a better way, you are already ahead of the curve. When a diagnosis hits, most people freeze. And of course, we all feel scared when we hear a diagnosis that we fear and threatens the time that we have left with our cats. So usually people outsource the problem to the vet and they panic and they medicate and they Google a little bit and then they wait. And waiting is a decision as well. And it happens to be the worst one usually. So, because the truth is, chronic conditions are rarely emergencies, but they are time sensitive. And how you respond in the first few days sets the tone for everything that follows. You can act now with clarity or react later in a crisis. And we don't want the crisis. We want to be able to at least put the plan in place so that we can manage the situation successfully and even improve it rather than attack a crisis that is already happening. Of course, if you are in a crisis, you can also work on that. And we work at all stages inside the Holistic Cat Club and inside my private one-on-one service. But obviously, the earlier you take, the steps to get to manage these conditions, the better. So this is not obviously about scrambling for miracle powders or arguing with your vet. Absolutely not. This is about being a leader in your cat's wellness. So there are some beliefs that need to die today. So first of all, these are the myths that keep most cats sick longer than necessary. So the belief number one that needs to go is my vet gave me a treatment plan and this must be all I need. So this is wrong because what you got was a medical intervention, which sometimes is very necessary. But this is not a full care plan because there is no mention usually of feeding strategies that are addressing the cause of the issues, or emotional regulation, or how to track progress, or how to prevent further decline. Usually, let's wait and see is a common thing that is said at this point. And if you believe it and you wait and see, there is not a lot of positivity coming in the future. And what you see is not usually positive if you just wait. So medical management is just one layer and is not the full picture. So that is myth number one. Another myth that really needs to go today is there is nothing I can do at home until symptoms get worse. So this is really backwards because 80% of what determines whether your cat stabilizes, deteriorates, or improves comes down to home care. Feeding, monitoring, supplementing, taking care of the environment and the stress around your cat and the possible toxins around your cat, creating a therapeutic environment and building a relationship that is built on teamwork is what builds a terrain where the body can really function better. Or if you don't do this, it won't. The belief number three that needs to go today is I am not trained for this. So this is a big one and I hear it all the time. And cat parents say that if they have to resort to provide care in a manner that is more hands-on and they have to all of a sudden start learning to give SUQ fluid or to assist feed their cat, they believe this is not a life worth living and there is no quality of life anymore. However, in my experience, I have seen lots of cats thrive in these situations because the therapies that were carried out were given in a very cat-friendly and stress-free manner. And the cats took them really well. So life was extended and has been extended in so many cases for even many, many years. So No one is trained for this at first, and we all have to start from somewhere. And if we are honest, if your child needs injections, you learn how to do injections. If your elderly parent needs help with meds, you figure out what to do. And this is not about having a full degree. It is about being willing to step in and step into that role of caretaker, even for your cat. Just because it's your cat that we're talking about, you can definitely improve your relationship with your cat in terms of how to give this care. And they're not going to necessarily shred you to pieces just because you are trying to provide hands-on cat care. This can be done in a trauma-free way and in a way that your cat accepts it really well. So this is actually what I do in the Holistic Cat Club and in my one-on-one service. I help cat parents learn the skills that allow them to provide care at home in a way that is sustainable and is non-traumatic and is fairly simple. So the real work begins actually here, where you are faced with a diagnosis that you didn't know you had to face, and you need to understand your cat's terrain, so the internal environment that either supports healing or makes disease inevitable. And you need to build the skills and not just collect supplements, because on Google and in Facebook groups, there is a lot of advice that goes on and everybody's suggesting their supplements, and what works for a cat might not work for another cat. So it's not just about collecting supplements and throw supplements at your cat, hoping that something sticks and works. It's about building those skills so that you know how and when to intervene. And this is really what separates guesswork from results. So you need a framework and a little bit of guidance so that you don't rely on random advice and random solutions or one-size-fits-all advice, so that you have a plan that you can use to have success in what you're trying to achieve. So we will talk about the terrain, the frameworks, and the skills a little bit more later on in other videos. But for now, I really want you to think that the greatest tragedy in feline care is not late diagnosis necessarily, but it's early inaction. Is when you know that you're supposed to do something and you are too scared to do it, and you are too unsure that what you're going to provide is good care. So if this hits home, subscribe and share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you're one of those people who is ready to do more, learn more, and stop waiting, join me inside the Holistic Cat Club, because this is where the real transformation happens, and you can get plenty of guidance on what you need to do, and you can walk your path to success at your own pace and with certainty and with confidence. So the link is in the description, and I will personally welcome you when you get in there. So I will see you next time, and until then, love your cats as much as you can.